Hi, Tom from bkmnutrition.com, and today you're going to learn about how to set the right diet goals for your weight loss journey or your weight loss plan. Now, a little story I like to tell people, and it's a story that I refer to in my book. It's actually right at the front of my book when I donate my message to my daughter. Is at the front of my book here, my book titling. It says, to my daughter, I don't know if you can see that there on the camera, it says, to my daughter Ellie, I stole and ate your Easter eggs in 2010 when she was 8 years old while dieting for a show. That was the turning point for me to learn how to learn about nutrition and have a better body and a better understanding of nutrition. So I had a sort of an epiphany event when I was doing a bodybuilding show in 2010. I was getting ready for the UKBFF Portsmouth, and it was a show I'd won previously, but I was getting ready to, I suppose, go and defend my title and it was qualified for the British finals. Now, for that diet, I was following a very, I would say, traditional bodybuilding diet at the time, which was basically don't eat a lot of carbs, do 2 hours cardio a day, pretty much hate everybody because you're so tired and depleted. You have a cheat day on Saturday, of course, and generally you in a not very nice place. And that was the norm for bodybuilding diets that day. It was normal to put yourself into a dark place when you're dieting, and I suppose there's a sort of a medal of honor for who could be the most restrictive, the most dieted, the most skeletal type face when you're on a diet. It shows how good condition you're in, and for that show, I was in very good shape. I was looking very good. But about sort of 10 days to 2 weeks out, unfortunately, I was at home on my own. And what happened is that I stumbled across my daughter's Easter eggs while looking for something else in the kitchen. Now, at the time when I was dieting, I had people hide any treats from me so I couldn't eat them. And then I was looking for whatever it was, like a tool or something. And I stumbled across all my daughter Ellie's Easter eggs in this cupboard, and it was just a massive trigger event, and I ended up eating all 3 of her Easter eggs in about 10 seconds. It was quite quick, and as I was sort of afterwards sat there looking at what I'd done, and I'm thinking, oh no, what have I done? I've stolen my daughter's Easter egg. She was 8, I think, at the time. I was just thinking to myself, you know, this is bad. You know, that I'm putting myself in such a position mentally where I'd actually steal my daughter's chocolate Easter eggs and eat them uncontrollably in a matter of minutes. So, you know, something has to be done about that. That's not a good way to proceed. But unfortunately, this sort of story is quite common throughout bodybuilding. And if you ask anybody who's done a bodybuilding diet, they'll tell you they've had a similar story where they've broken under pressure and literally gone to town on the snacks. And I mean, long story short, I did end up winning the show because I went and did a load of cardio, a load of training, and the long of it is that if you do have a wobble on a diet and you do like have a massive amount of calorie intake, it actually doesn't make that much difference. It doesn't actually ruin the diet. It doesn't actually destroy your diet. All it does is puts more calories in for a short period of time, which you then have to sort of average out. So if you're going to take anything away from this video, take away the fact that if you cheated once on your diet over 2 or 3 weeks, don't worry, it's not the end of the diet. You haven't ruined your diet. I went on to win the show, won the trophy, and it was all very good. And I had to buy Ellie new Easter eggs. But the purpose of this story is that when I set up my diet goals for my weight loss plan, I had a very specific end goal in mind. I was going to get ready for a show. I had to be shredded. I had to be ripped on stage at a certain point in time. Now, that's a very goal-driven approach. And you might be thinking, well, don't we all have goals? We all have goals to lose weight, get fit, whatever. Yes, that is correct. You do have a goal that you're looking to get to. But having a goal-driven approach is different from having a system-driven approach. And what I teach with people I work with is to develop systems rather than goals. Now, the reason for that is that if you just have a goal such as I need to lose 10 kilos or I need to drop a dress size, one of those sorts of things, that is going to be at the forefront of everything you do for the next 8 weeks, 12 weeks, however long you're going to stay on your diet for before you actually break. And everything you do, all your actions are affected by, I have to lose this weight, I have to lose 10 kilos, I have to get into a dress, drop a dress size. So what that does, that affects your decision making in terms of the things you do every day. And what it does, it blinkers you from the other things that might be messing up in the background. So for example, when I was doing this diet for the show, I was blinkered to the fact that I was restricting myself so much that mentally I was creating an eating disorder in my mind, which if that had been left unaddressed for a period of time, I could have developed a serious eating disorder because of it. And unfortunately, this does happen with a lot of people who do regular sort of crash diets and trying to lose weight and trying to lose body fat and trying to get into shape in a short space of time. Because they do them so often, they do them so regularly, they develop an eating disorder. And I've worked with many, many people who are literally afraid to eat carbohydrates because they think carbohydrates is what's going to make them fat. Carbohydrates releases insulin, and insulin turns on fat storage, and so carbohydrates leads to storage of fat. Actually, that's not the case. Although that mechanism does exist, it's not the case, and I've done videos on that, and you can see other videos that I've talked about that in more detail. But the fact is that when people do these restrictive diets where they're only focusing on the weight loss as the end result, what's going to happen is that they're going to be blinkered to everything else that's affecting their life and their relationships with others and their mental health and all those sorts of things. Whereas if you have a systems-based approach, then what happens is you build up these supporting mechanisms that help you support your long-term goal of losing 10 kilos, getting into a dress size, whatever it is. The systems you built to do that means that if you do have a wobble, you do have a fall, then you fall to the level of your systems. That's a quote from James Clear, Atomic Habits. And by building systems, what I mean is you develop small habits that build up into big habits. So for example, if one of your goals is to lose weight by, say, getting fitter and going to the gym, but you do not go to the gym currently, you have no idea about how to start, what you shouldn't do is try and go to the gym 4 times a week for an hour for a number of weeks to try and sort of kickstart yourself into doing that. That's not going to work because you haven't built up the habits around going to the gym yet. All you've done is gone to the gym. So what I do when I'm working with people who have this goal is that instead of saying, well, we're going to go 4 times a week for 45 minutes, what we do instead is say, well, on the way home, we're going to stop by the gym and we're going to go in there for 10 minutes, going to have a coffee, sit down, and just get used to being in the gym environment, get used to taking time out of your day, walking or driving home, to stop at the gym and to create that habit. Now, of course, you're not going to get anything done in 10 minutes, especially if you sat down just having a coffee. But the fact is, you're starting to introduce yourself to that environment. You're starting to be accepted by the people in that environment, because it's very important to be accepted by any new tribe that we attempt to join, which is another reason why people quit gyms, because they don't feel accepted in the tribe. And over time, you're building up that habit that I am a person who goes to the gym. Now, when you've done it for a week or so and you're happy doing 10 minutes, then you do 20 minutes, and then on the third week, whatever, then you start, let's say, walking on a treadmill or doing a little bit of weights for, say, 10 to 15 minutes, and then you go home. And you build that up very, very slowly. Now, I know you're thinking, well, what am I doing in that first month? I'm not doing anything. But yes, you are. You're building those systems that mean you are a person that goes to the gym and exercises regularly. And what's going to happen is, because you're building that system, you're going to have knock-on effects to other systems in your life, such as, well, I am a person who exercises regularly and goes to the gym, so should I also be a person that watches what they eat? Should I also be a person that walks more? Should I also be a person that chooses low sugar squash or zero sugar squash, or should I put sweetener in my tea instead of sugar? All these knock-on decisions come from the fact that you've made one healthy decision and you're building one healthy habit. And what you get is this sort of domino effect of other healthy habits that build from the fact that you've made decisions and made votes for this new healthy lifestyle. So you see how, hopefully you can see how that sort of thing can help build more systems. And the fact is that, say if you've done that for a number of months or whatever, and you're now going to the gym for, say, 4 to 5 times a week, 45 minutes, and then something like Christmas comes along, or you go on holiday or something like that, so you break your routine for, say, 2 weeks. This is quite common around Christmas, by the way. You break your routine for about 2 weeks, and then what happens is, if you're not in the habit of going to the gym regularly or doing stuff regularly, what will happen is you fall out that routine. It's very hard to get started again. However, if you have built up that thing regularly, and you're going to the gym, you're a regular gym goer, 4 times, say 40 minutes a week or whatever, then when you come back from your holiday or come off Christmas, it's very easy, because you've had this wobble and you've gone out of your routine, it's very easy to get back into that routine, because it's something that you normally do. The Christmas was the non-normal thing, the holiday was the non-normal thing, and when you're coming back to normal life, your gym routine is part of that normal life. And that's just one example. You can use that example across eating well, you can use that example across, say, exercising outside of the gym. You know, all these things that you would instill in your life as normal behavior, those are the systems that you built, and all those systems stack up to give you this is what I do, this is what I'm about. If you just go on a crash diet where you say you do, oh, I'm going to go, I don't train and I don't eat properly, but what I am going to do is now I'm going to reduce all my carbohydrates, I'm going to eat less, so I'm in a massive calorie deficit, and on top of that, I'm going to go to the gym and smash a load of cardio 3 times for an hour every week. Now you're jumping from being nothing to being this superhuman person who does all this exercises and doesn't eat all this food. And that's a massive jump. That's a non-normal routine for you. And you're going to find that very quickly, when that wobble comes, it's going to be very difficult to get back onto that horse again. And because the normal you is established as not exercising and not eating properly. So until you build up those habits to change yourself gradually towards that goal, you're always going to be that person who doesn't exercise and doesn't eat well. So what you want to be doing is thinking about this 1% shift every single time, and that's what the purpose of changing one meal per week, changing say 5 minutes out of your day to go to the gym. Similar to stuff, say people who do like, say, veganuary and start New Year's diets and stuff like that, they start to do this massive shift. And I don't knock vegan diets for the sake of, if you want to be a vegan for ethical reasons, that's absolutely, I totally get that. But when people say, I'm going on veganuary to lose weight, and what they do is, because they've got to do this massive shift where they've cut out meat completely and gone 100% plant-based, they just haven't got the systems to support that. So what happens is they do it for, say, 2 or 3 days, and they realise, actually, this is really, really difficult to be a vegan, because they're not used to doing it. And they jack it in very, very quickly because they just haven't got the systems built to support that. And the knock-on effect of that is they then believe that they can't lose weight, because they're normally doing that sort of thing because they've tried every other thing. And so they then start to believe about themselves that they're not going to lose weight, and they're going to stay at that shape for forever, I suppose. And it also reinforces the fact that diets are hard. And this then leads into other things. So whenever I want to do a diet, it's going to be hard. So immediately creates a negative connotation around doing a diet. So incidentally, the best way to do that veganuary is to actually just change one meal a week to be plant-based. So say on a Wednesday night you have a plant-based meal, and then when you've done that for a couple of weeks, you do Wednesday and Thursday, or Wednesday and Friday, and then you do Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and so on and so forth. Same as the gym build-up, same as everything else. You're building the systems very slowly, because once you do that, you're going to be very used to, right, it's Wednesday, so I'm creating my plant-based meal, so I know exactly what I'm going to have. And you've got those things ready to go, rather than every single day thinking, what am I doing? I haven't got my vegan-based meal, I can't do it. Hopefully you can see how that works. So I suppose that what I'm trying to get at with talking about this and comparing it to my very bro crash diet that I did for the show, is that diet obviously worked in terms of the fact that I reached my goal. I won the show. So by restricting myself loads, by doing loads of cardio, by putting myself in that extreme situation, I did win the show. So I did accomplish my goal. But I can tell you, exactly 24 hours after that, I was exactly 7 kilos heavier, a full stone heavier, because I literally stepped off stage and face planted a bag of chocolate. I used to take a bag called a naughty bag with me to the show, and it was just full of chocolate and cakes and stuff like that, and I would just pile into it afterwards because the release was so high after having that extreme diet for say 12, 14 weeks or whatever. I was actually sat in Pizza Hut eating flapjacks, waiting for my massive pizza to arrive because I just literally could not stop myself eating. And that is a true story, by the way. Okay, so what we're going to do then, so we're going to build a diet, we're going to build a diet plan that works. So we want to build it very gradually from the ground up. So if you're looking to lose weight, think about the small things that you're going to change. Even if your goal is not mainly to lose weight, maybe it's to gain some muscle because you need to eat more protein, because that in itself is a very difficult thing to do, to force more protein in when you're not used to eating more protein. You've got to think about more high protein meals. You've got to think about protein timing. So if you're going to change anything, if you're going to do weight loss, if you're going to do trying to say bulk up or whatever else, then what you've got to think about is the small things you can incorporate. Go for the small wins that you can do here. And one of the good things you can do is something called habit stacking. Again, it's from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Well worth the read if you go and do that. But with habit stacking, what you do is you stack a desirable habit, the one that you want to do, with something you're already doing. So, for example, if you are already going to the gym and you want to increase your protein intake, what you can do is when you're preparing your gym bag, you can also prepare your gym shake. And I do this with a couple of clients where they actually mix their post-workout shake right before they go to the gym. They keep it in a cool bag, and when they come out of the gym, they drink their drink straight away. The reason I say that, because you're saying, well, why don't you just mix it after the gym? The reason is because you come out of the gym, you've got your shaker with powder in, you go, I've got to get some water now, I've got to mix it and everything else, and because if you've ever shaken up a shake, they don't normally mix that great, so you normally ended up with maybe a few lumps or a very frothy shake, which is difficult to drink, and that can be an obstacle, that can be a hindrance to accomplishing that task. So if you blend it first, there's very little thought then. You just blend it first, go back to the car, out the cool bag, drink it, it's nice because it's settled down, and then you're back on with your day. And it's something that's very easy to do because you've stacked it together. There's loads of these sorts of examples in James Clear's book, which you can have a look at, and it's something that you might want to incorporate if you're doing that. So say, for example, if you are looking to increase more protein, what you could do is when you're having a meal, you could have some sort of like high protein yogurt as a pudding afterwards. That will increase your calories, but it will also increase your protein intake. If you're looking for weight loss hacks or weight loss goals, then what you can do is you can look at padding out certain things. So one thing I do with some clients is that say they want to have some like potato chips, but a very good vegetable to incorporate is something called celeriac. Celeriac's all like from the parsnip, turnip family. But what you can do is you can prepare it and cook it exactly like chips, and it does give a sort of it's not exactly the same taste as chips, but it's much lower calorie, much lower carb, and it allows you to continue that experience of having a potato-y type feel chip thing without actually having the calories. And if you cook it in your air fryer, I've got an air fryer at home. If you just chop up a load of celeriac and chuck it in an air fryer and cook it with a teaspoonful of fat, of olive oil or something like that, then it actually prepares very chip-like chips without the extra fat. So there's another little tip for you. But all these things you can do, just stack things together, adjust things that you're normally doing and just adjust them ever so slightly to either add certain things on that you want to accomplish or adjust what you're already doing very slightly. And what will happen is you'll find very quickly those becomes your habits, those becomes your normal activities, and then you have made all these votes for a healthy lifestyle. So that's what I'm going to say on that, talking about systems and rather than goals. It's important to have your goals in place, of course. There's no point building systems if you've got no end game, if you've got no where am I going with this. But make sure it's important that you are always focusing on building those systems towards a goal, because let's face it, unless you are dieting for a bodybuilding competition or something like that, you're probably going to want to hold on to this really great body that you've built for a long period of time, not just sort of 5 minutes when you're on stage like I used to do. You probably want to maintain a lower level of body fat, and you probably want to maintain a little bit more muscle mass. All those things will help you increase your health, make you look better, make you feel more confident. So if you haven't got the systems in place to do that, you're just going to end up yo-yoing back and forth, and that's not going to do you, your mind, or your body any good at all. So if you've got any questions, any comments, please leave them below. Feel free to get in touch, and I'll be happy to help if I can. If you like the video, why don't you click a like there, and if you want to see more of my random ramblings, why don't you click on the subscribe button, and you can see all the stuff that I talk about. Feel free to check out the other videos, and if you want to check out my website, bknutrition.com, there's loads of freebies on there to help you to build your superior physique, whatever that might be. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks.